To me, lunch is the second most important meal of the day. I think that it should be fun, I think that it should be easy, but most importantly, it should be quick. I'm going to be making my edition of a tuna sandwich with some chips. So, very first thing you're going to need is obviously a can of tuna. You're also going to need some type of sliced bread. And because I like to add a little bit more texture and crunch into my sandwich, I'm going to be using green and red bell peppers. As part of my seasoning, I'm going to be using parsley flake, cayenne pepper, a little bit of mayo, and of course, handy dandy ketchup. First things first, when I'm making this sandwich, I like to chop up my red and green bell peppers. You don't have to use red and green bell peppers. You can also use celery or whatever vegetable you choose. I'm choosing to use these because it's what I have at my house, and I actually like how it tastes in the sandwich. Once I chop them up, and I normally like to chop them into about a dice size, I don't want them to be too finely chopped because then I'm not going to be able to get the crunch that I'm desiring in my sandwich. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to proceed to open my can of tuna and drain out the excess water. You can use a electric can opener or you can use a manual can opener. It all depends on which one you have at home. I have both, but I choose to use the electric one because it's easier for me to get open. Once I do that and I drain out all my water, I then proceed to dump my contents into my bowl. Now I noticed that my tuna is still slightly too chunky for my liking. So what I do is I just grab a fork and I easily just start shredding my tuna to kind of take away some of that chunk and make it a little bit more shredded to my desire. After I do that, I go ahead and I add in my green and red bell peppers and I mix that through. And then I'm going to proceed to add in my parsley and my cayenne. I don't have exact measurings for how much parsley or how much cayenne I use. I just put in as much as I need. Also, you don't have to use cayenne pepper. You can also use black pepper. I just prefer to use cayenne because it has more of a kick and spice, and that's the type of stuff that I want in my sandwich. But you don't have to use cayenne. You can use black pepper as well. And then I'm going to add in about a spoonful and a half of mayo. I don't like my sandwiches too dry, and I also don't like them too moist. When you add too much mayo, it tends to make your mixture a little bit too creamy. And if you don't add enough mayo, it makes your sandwich very dry and hard to swallow, and you could choke on that. So about a spoonful and a half works really well. Once I go ahead and incorporate these other ingredients into my mixture, I stir that up, and then I leave that aside, and I go ahead and find my bread and pop that into the toaster oven. I normally leave my bread in for about 3 minutes or so it can toast evenly on both sides. And once it's fully toasted, take it out of the toaster and begin applying my mixture. I apply a heaping even mixture onto one slice of bread. Then I go ahead and I get my ketchup and I just, squirt that all over that mixture. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply my other slice of bread. And I'm going to do that for my second sandwich. Once I do that for both of my sandwiches, I cut it in half and I'm going to go look for my chips now. Today I'm going to be using Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips. You don't have to use Ruffles. You can go ahead and use Lay's if that's what you prefer. I'm using Ruffles because they're my favorite and they're also the chips that I have at my house. And after I go ahead and I put on my chips, I'm basically just looking for a drink and I'm done. So that is how I make my tuna sandwich. If you are someone who's not a big fan of bread, you can also put this mixture onto some crackers. It works just as well, but because it is lunchtime, I chose to use bread. I would be using crackers if it was for a snack. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed watching me make my sandwich, and I hope you give this recipe a try at home. Thank you for watching.